Hello and good morning, Eswatini, good morning, world, and welcome to the Connect. Rather, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or good night, depending on where in the world you are. Because when we are coming at you from a live stream, we're touching the entire globe. Yes. My name is Tamsanga Sibanze, aka the Courtesy of Hip Hop, aka the Facilitator, aka Malcolm ex-boyfriend, aka the Black Superman. And I'm chilling here.
So I don't exactly know how you follow that. Guys, please help us here. Please see where I hope you've got a... Okay, so welcome to the sunny Mbabane, Eswatini, and I'm Shelly B.
Oh, there we go. See, there we go. And over to my left, we have our guest for this morning. We'll be going in depth with who she is, but welcome, Fisiwe.
Yeah, nice to have you.
A pleasure to be here.
Yeah.
Awesome. Shelly, who do we have with us in the room this morning?
Yes, welcoming you all. So we've got Zinhle Zwane Manzini, we've got Zavira Steenkamp coming from us from Mbabane, just round the corner. Karen Mandy, good morning from a chilly Peaks Peak. It's also chilly here, but I think yours might be a little bit colder, Karen. Okay, Olga, hello Olga from a sunny Johannesburg, welcome. Philippa Thorne, good morning to you. And Melody Dlamini, good morning from MBA City, I like that. That's very cool. You see, you've got a stage vibe here.
You know? Yeah, you know.
Courtesy's inspiring, we got to get it down. Okay.
No, that's what's up. And of course, behind the scenes, we do have Miss Linda Rego, who's making sure that everything is going great. And of course, Pinky as well, holding it down on the communications. And the master, Daniel Toro of DT Photography, who's making sure we're coming at you live and direct this beautiful Tuesday morning from the Cap City, Mbap City. Today, we do have a guest. She's sitting on the sidelines. Hi, Sue. She's off the shot, but she's in the room, just chilling with us. Yeah, so it's another beautiful day. We're still kind of, sort of in the lockdown, not so much really, but not quite, you know.
Well, we don't know if it's less partial or more partial than
Partially-
partial. Yeah, it's partially
Impartial.
Unlocked.
Unlocked, but okay, there's a door, there's a key, and there's a lock. You decide where you want to put what. Pisiwe, how are you doing? How has this whole period been for you?
It's actually been a bit challenging.
All right.
It's required me to sort of move things around and
Okay.
change. I'm an outdoorsy person, so I
Preach,
guess the
sister,
first
preach.
so I guess the first few days of lockdown were very frustrating, just being expected to sit at home.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
it's easier to do that by choice, but not
Yeah.
when you're told to
Yeah.
stay at home.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think now I'm in the swing of things. I've managed to find time to do things that I've been procrastinating about.
Yeah.
You know, that time in the house must be
Yeah.
used fruitfully. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you were talking off camera about this past weekend. You were in Lilwane.
Yes,
You did a
I
run
actually
around their
went
trail.
out to big game parks with some friends.
Okay.
So the one was cycling, the other two were walking, and I got to run there. Running trails are actually awesome. So yeah, just being out there and trying to shed off the weight.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
yeah.
I mean,
lockdown, right?
Shelly knows a little something about that. Not shedding off the weight. Let me whoo, before I get into trouble. Not shedding off the weight, but the cabin fever situation.
Yeah.
Where are you with that now? Like on a scale of 1 to 10?
No, I'm good, but every now and then I feel like I'm losing it. I think that's what it kind of works, and then one day you just feel, okay, I need to break free. Yeah, I get a bit of a
Still
short
get that.
circuit, and
Yeah.
then it's tough.
And speaking of getting to appreciate home, shout out to Tabile Marife, who started a page on Facebook called Vagasha Eswatini.
Awesome
In the space
space.
of about 2 weeks, this page has amassed, I think, 18,000
18,000, that was the last.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
So yeah.
2 weeks, 18,000 followers, and what happens there is people, Emaswati, sharing their pictures and experiences of tourist sites in Eswatini.
That's brilliant.
It's a movement.
It's
It's,
a movement.
it's really
It's-
taken
it just
over.
like blew
Yeah.
up.
yeah.
And I think it's part of the conversation that we're going to be going into right now,
Yes.
because obviously the lockdown has made it necessary for us to keep it here, you know, keep it
Yep.
here. But like you're saying, Shelley,
Keep it local.
we're appreciating home or things that we ordinarily wouldn't have,
Yes.
and it's
Yeah.
amazing.
No, I think about it, and I think that's one thing we need to actually be so grateful for. Like you say, Lilwane, it's like a hop and a skip away. You can walk with giraffes,
Yeah.
with wildebeest. I mean, I was walking
Take a
there.
selfie with the zebra.
Take a selfie, and they're not even afraid. They're very chilled.
Yeah.
It's quiet. It's peaceful. And I think, you know, shout out to Big Games Parks for opening up. But also, I'd like to challenge us as a Maswati here locally and tourists coming in. Let's be very mindful about keeping the environment clean.
Yeah.
It
Of
is
course, yeah.
pristine in these places. You hear water running in Lilwane that you didn't even know was there.
Yeah.
So I think, you know, let's stay away from plastics. Let's only have reusable plastics if we are going to use them. Let's stay away from littering, noise. I just think that this has been a time for us to really appreciate what we have.
It has been.
And make sure that we keep it that way. So I'm, you know, very keen to kind of challenge, and I hope we get someone to come in to talk to us about how we keep this environment clean and actually clean up.
Absolutely.
Because that's also part of, you know,
Yeah.
what we've been experiencing right now, yeah?
No, definitely. All right, so before we get into the topic of the day, let's just take a quote for the day. And I know we usually get from philosophers and you know, specialists in different fields, but today I went to Kanye West,
Okay.
who says, try telling people you love them. It actually feels weird at first. We are really good at hating each other. We have to get good at loving each other.
I think that's obviously very poignant at this time, historically, with what's happening all over the world, the Black Lives Matter movement, and just what love is defined as, and also what it can look like
Yeah.
for different communities,
Yeah.
for the way we look at each other, for the way we look at the world. So, yeah,
Yeah. What's your take on that, Msiwe? Is it one of those things? Why does it seem like it's more difficult for us as a people? And I'll speak specifically for us as a people in the Kingdom of Eswatini. We are quicker to drag each other through the mud and to shut each other down than we are to actually lift each other up. So what's your take on that?
I think for me, there's always an opportunity to spread love, to spread positivity, and it's probably something that me growing up, for example, the whole hearing "I love you" on a consistent basis is not really in our nature, especially within our families. But it's something that we can change now, that we have an opportunity to change with our children, with those that come after us. So instead of focusing on a whole lot of negative parts of a person, it's always it's harder, you need to learn it, but it can be done to actually just give someone a compliment, to actually say something nice, and to move around with kindness, for everyone that you experience in the day. Just try and spread some kindness. It's a muscle, so you exercise it. The more you exercise it, eventually you're just walking around being a bubble of positive.
Wow.
Yeah, I think
love
so.
that.
Yeah.
I love that.
I like that.
Exercising your kindness, and just like a muscle, the more push-ups you make, the bigger and stronger it grows. So yeah, Shelly, what are our headlines and news for today, for the week?
So, because there's parents like you that are happy to have the kids home, and those that have been on lockdown and not really waking up and going to work, it's been sort of easier for them to manage. However, there's other parents that still need to wake up and go to work and come back and deal with grade 2 homework. I know those worksheets have been a topic. So it's a balancing act, I guess. As a parent, you just need to find a way to sort of make it work. It's also really helped some parents that have sort of stepped back from the children's sort of school progress. Now you need to be more involved. You have a better idea of what they're busy doing at school. And also, it's just time for you to embrace the technology. So if you didn't know how Zoom works or how, I don't know, all of these platforms work, now is the time for you to get on there and, move with the time. So I guess even after this, it's really going to be a new way of life. We just need to embrace it. Yeah,
absolutely. I like that. Okay, I'm trying to see who else is joining us in the room. For those of you who are joining, please remember that we are on YouTube, we are on Facebook. Please share if you have joined us so that your friends, family, people that are following you can also come into the room and be with us today as we discuss around just what we see we're saying, these new platforms, a new way of communicating. How has it added value in our lives? How has it created maybe a little bit of challenge? So we're going to dive into that. Let's see who's in the room. Love Joy Dlamini, I love that name. Hi guys, from Mbabane. Zinzi Twala, good morning from the capital city of Eswatini. We've got Mike Viela, One World, One Environment. I love that. Yeah. Okay, Lindo Gutle, Tupa, move around with kindness. We love that, And what can kindness look and feel like? Because, how do we make it practical? How do we live these words that we throw around so often? And so all of these things are probably being redefined in a space like now, history in the making. Every day you turn on the news and it's just amazing how history is having a shift, People are talking about, let's relook at this history because some of it really is very negative and oppressive. And so how do we change the narrative around it, but also understand that it is part of where we've come, but not elevate perhaps what we now know to be quite negative in the space, right? And very oppressive. So we're going to keep watching the space and keep talking to us about also what is kindness and love in your space and how can we share it practically, okay? Because we often throw these words around, but we need to be able to define it so that we can live it, right?
No, thanks, Shelly. I think I want to throw that out there to the viewers joining us this morning. In the comment section below, just please give us your definition of love and kindness in your space, because I think that's one thing that we need to really practice in this time and space that we're in right now. So share your idea of love and kindness specifically in your space or in your corner of the world. We're talking about history being made. And of course, we are smack bam in a time where society as we know it is experiencing the worst pandemic of this century. Everything has been flipped on its head. We've been ankle tapped. We don't know what's what anymore. We're free falling. And as I say, we don't know when we're going to land, where we're going to land, or how we're going to land. A society that was once buzzing with feet moving, hugs, and handshake has now been completely replaced with thumb texting, status updates, memes, video,
elbow
WhatsApp,
greetings,
tweets, elbow greetings, thumbs up, fist bumps, you know, like
Hugs. This is the
air
hug
hugs.
emoji. I don't know. Someone needs to review that. We need something that looks like this. Please, emoji developers, something a little bit warmer. I don't know what this means.
Yeah, no, this one is like it's a little bit.
It's not warm enough.
So yeah, with all of that happening, obviously for us to still remain in touch, we've had to sort of like shift towards technology, specifically the World Wide Web.
Yes.
And with us here today, we do have marketer and communications specialist with experience in telecommunications and customer
service.
Service. Currently working at Eswatini Communications Commission as the manager for consumer affairs and communication. An avid golfer, runner, a regular feature at the park runs when they used to happen. And a travel enthusiast. If you go to her Instagram, it's now Fisiwe is on, Planet X, some places I didn't even know existed, right here on Earth. But ladies and gentlemen, today, fortunately for us, she is here. She could have been anywhere in the world because she's that person. But today she's here with us. So please help us welcome Fisiwe Vilane. Thank you so much, Ma, for taking some time out of your very busy schedule to be with us.
It's a pleasure. Lovely space you've got.
Yeah.
Now I got to see it live.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Awesome. Fisiwe, I think let's just get straight to it. What do we need to be aware of or looking out for, especially in this space where communication is now going more towards our devices, and there's a lot less physical contact? What is it that we need to be looking out for, or what in your opinion should we be moving more towards as a country, as business people, as artists?
I think that generally it's now the new way of doing things. There's no way that we can avoid it in any sphere of life. It's unfortunately gone in, and we have to embrace it. I think there's no way that you can still stay and be like, technology with all its challenges, I'm going to try and stay away. You are going to be left behind. So it's all of us to just learn as much as possible about how it works, be aware of the risks out there so that we are still safe, but also just embrace it as much as possible. It's going to keep us safer. It's going to make sure that we don't get infected or get exposed to infection as we go out. So I think it's the whole new way of doing things. Let's learn and move with the times.
I like that. And you know us, we're all about hashtags. Hashtag embrace it. Hashtag embrace it, hashtag move with the times, because this is exactly what it is. There's no need in fighting it or resisting it. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Shirley?
Absolutely. So yeah, if you see where, I mean, we've obviously seen there's been a huge shift, like you said, being able to stay at home, we're distanced now. We might be at work, but still also very confined to our spaces.
Of course,
we can't move as freely as possible. And before there was always this debate around, your friends on Facebook are not really your friends. Get out there and have relationships.
Real
with
friends,
people. Yeah,
yes.
like eyeball people. But obviously now the situation has put us in a space where actually our Facebook friends are real. But how can technology enhance the space where now communication is, always over devices, through a screen? Even we have a screen here, right? How can that actually enhance and add value to the relationship building space? What are some of the trends, the apps, the things that are very practical? And how can we use them in a good way? Because obviously there's always this debate around, is technology all good?
Yes.
Obviously we know there are some negative parts, but what are some things that you've been experiencing, seeing, observing in your space around how technology has actually helped and added value in this relationship building space?
Personally, I think having a busy sort of lifestyle, if I may say, sometimes you never really find time to just sit and take stock and sort of really work on those relationships. However, Now you've got more time at home with the lockdown,
Yeah.
so you do have more screen time as well, which means you get to really speak to people. It's also been about just going back to the kindness part, just being able to check on people now and again in terms of, you know, what they are up to. I feel like I am better at listening at what the person is actually sharing than before. It was more of a tick box kind of happy, have a blessed Sunday or happy Friday or whatever, and then you move on. But now you kind of just really read and understand and also share back in terms of what they're doing. I think also it's helped us to connect with people that we haven't really spoken to in a long time. Somehow we found ourselves checking on them. There's been blogs that we've been wanting to read for a long time. There's been, I don't know, people on Instagram that we've wanted to follow for a long time and sort of just go through their content, or old friends that we wanted to send friend requests on Facebook or just speak to. Now it's actually helped us to sort of get back there and do make those relationships meaningful. So I think for me, that space, if you use it positively, I feel there's a lot that it actually benefits you in. And yes, those relationships can still be maintained even, you know, without the physical touching or even physical visits. And it saves you money and time, I guess. So no flights. We are here, but you can still speak to someone over the sea. So yeah.
Yo, Fisiwe, and you're actually touching on something very important, especially that element of checking in on each other. You know what I mean? Like so many people, like when you look around, when you listen, when you have conversations with people, so many people are dealing with so many different things.
Of course,
you know, during this time, and everyone is sort of like fighting their own battle. So the importance of saying, Shelly, how are you? And she says, default response, I'm fine.
I'm fine. Yes.
And then you go back and say, Shelly, how are you?
How are you?
You know what I mean? Like I'm saying, let's deep dive into this. Like, can you really tell me how are you doing? Like, it's such a critical element that we now need to learn.
That is,
you know? And here at Pacific Institute, we do have a hashtag, real relationships.
Oh.
So REAL relationships, real relationships, because it's so easy to just have those kind of connections on the surface only.
Of course,
you know what I mean? Where, like you're saying, you're just like happy Sunday and whatnot. But it's so refreshing to know that you do have those people or that person that you can actually deep dive with and get into the crux of the matter. So yeah.
And it does start with you also being that person.
Yeah.
Being vulnerable is not an easy thing to do. You know, you're always thinking, can I tell Shelly this? Is she then not gonna, you know, go and drink tea with Linda and tell her, you know, exactly. So it does take time to build. However, we've got to open ourselves up, you know, and be able to share these things with the people that are around us, and for them to also create that confidence for them to share with us as well. There's a whole lot of people, like you are saying, everyone is dealing with something. There's a whole lot of mental illness around. People are struggling with a lot simply because they also can't or aren't able to share. So we must be the safe space for the people that are around us.
Absolutely. I love that. So we just wanted to cut in just with the discussion to just apologize for the internet connection. It is poor today, and unfortunately is, you know, in and out of our hands, but we're doing everything we can to make sure that we get the connection to improve. So our service provider, we're just calling out to you. I don't know, can we call them out? MTN Eswatini. Please, if you could partner with us to ensure that this connect happens today, please. We are appealing to you. Okay, but for those of you who are on Facebook but can change over to YouTube, apparently the quality is better on YouTube. So we do apologize for that.
Okay.
This is what happens when you're on live, right? You roll with the punches. Sean Lowe, hello Sean. Also from sunny Johannesburg, lovely to have you in the space. We've got a beautiful share there. Pinks, if you can put it up for us. So Zinzi was sharing, love and kindness in my space is helping others grow, lending a helping hand however best I can, whether it's my siblings in the workspace and my friends. It's really in the small things.
That is.
And it's a little bit like what we're saying. The small things is also, you know, what we sort of experienced a lot is since we don't see our clients, right, because we're in the space of doing facilitations and being in people's space, is just being able to make a phone call and check in and say, hey, how are you doing?
How are you doing?
And sometimes those small things, and meaning it, you know, sometimes we go, oh, how are you? Fine. Okay, moving on. The agenda of the day is. And if you've been in our space, you will know that we always check in and check out, and people are also, they're always like, oh, okay, what am I going to say? But it's very important actually to figure out how people are doing. And we know at this time we're isolated, we're trying to deal with all sorts of emotions as we lock down. So being able to reach out is very important. And what's great now is you can almost be in somebody's space. Like you said, we can't get on a plane and get to Botswana or fly to Rwanda or overseas, but you can actually see people on the screen now.
Yeah.
So you can almost be close up and personal without being in their space physically, which is great, right? So that's how technology has really helped us. But obviously it's not easy, Fisiwe. You know, Zoom, it was something that was, oh, we'll get to it. And now all of a sudden the future has come to us quickly, and we're having to balance between the Zooms and the Google.
And you don't even know when to mute. Are you mute? Are you share screen?
Ooh.
And you're thinking, how do I even do that? But we unfortunately had to jump on the wagon and learn quick.
No, absolutely. I mean, speaking of which, we have like a real live example even within our space. Shout out to Beebs. Bridget was not on Instagram, but you know, she was sort of like pushed in that direction because every once in a while we host the Connect on Instagram. She wants to be a part of it, so she actually had to now set up an Instagram account.
Great.
So yeah, we're having to learn, relearn, and unlearn every day. Every day.
Yeah.
So Fisiwe, in terms of the trends, what are you sort of just like observing or picking up? Because obviously now we have moved from the physical interaction, and that's where a lot of people were sort of just like comfortable and living and, you know, and thriving. But now we've been thrown into the internet space, and what I'm seeing is now obviously there's a lot more people being visible or active online.
There's so much stuff.
There's so much stuff.
Yeah, you can get overwhelmed.
YouTube channels are popping up. We now have like these professional TikTokers. You know what I mean?
Yeah, who would have thought?
Who would have thought? People are having live Instagram chats.
Yes.
There's just like so much going on in that space.
Buzzing.
Yeah, it's really buzzing. What do you think we should be looking out for, or should be careful of, now that we're sort of just like all jumping into this pool?
I think because it's such a challenging time mentally, there's a whole lot of negative information going out there. We need to be able to filter. So yes, it's good that we know what's happening around the world, but constantly consuming all of that, you know, people dying, people being killed, violence, all of that can actually take its toll on you just emotionally and also psychologically. So it's always, you know, good to have that balance and sort of have some entertainment going. You're talking about the TikTokers. I discovered last week this helper in SA Tembi. She is now the star of the show, so she's somebody's helper, and the boss takes videos of her, and their interactions are so funny. You should check it out. But basically, you know, it's given us a whole lot of entertainment, which is quite good. It's challenged us to be creative in terms of how we create content that people will love, which is great. We've also seen a whole lot of locally people that have really come out, whose shows we probably have not been attending. Now we know they're there and they're doing something. We've got the Daniel Toro TV. You know, it keeps us entertained. We get to watch our favorite entertainers on there. There's been people that have started YouTube channels. Kosi,
hey, shout
Maker,
out.
you know. So now I can favor my Shia that I didn't know how to do before. So all those things are actually the positives of this time. And we just need to be able to use that positively, you know. There's a whole lot of bashing that's going on, and we need to try and be, I think, that positive spark amongst, you know, people sort of saying all sorts of negative things as well. So it's always important to just filter, I think, the information that you take in. And when you spread some information, just spread positive information all the time. I think that is the good part. We've also seen a whole lot of people cooking. People have more time now at home. They're sharing recipes. They're telling us about their food. We're also trying out stuff. I even baked for one of my friends' birthdays, and the person that was telling me what to do and how to do it was actually in Joburg. I know I wouldn't have made cheesecake before, but you know, now I can call myself a baker. I need to update my CV. So, you know, all of that, we haven't really you know, been doing
Yeah.
when we were
Yeah.
busy with everything else. But now we're all cooking. We're now instant chefs,
Yeah,
instant
yeah,
bakers.
yeah.
Banana bread is flying off the shelves,
Yeah,
you know. And then we've spoken about the online learning, of course, but we
Yes.
also have the shows as well. Our favorite DJs
Yeah.
putting
Oh, yeah.
up shows
Yeah.
on the weekend.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we're not going out there and getting arrested for drunken driving or all those other things. We're
Yeah.
dancing in the house,
Yeah.
which is great. It's really changed the way that we look at things. And there's obviously a whole lot of apps, you know, for everything that you're looking
Yeah.
for. People have been doing DIY projects and sharing their videos. And there's a whole lot of videos now, hey? Whilst before we used to just share text and images,
Yeah.
people are now sharing videos, which is quite good because, you know, you get a step-by-step on how to do this and how to do
Yeah.
that. People are sewing, people are crocheting. It's
Yeah.
really,
Yeah.
it's amazing. It's really a different time, but it's actually very good. And I think on the part of doing good as
Yeah.
well, I'll keep going back to that because I think this time has also just challenged us to be able to try and see where the opportunities are in
Yeah.
terms of paying it
Yeah.
forward or helping other
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
So there's also people sharing opportunities of doing some charity work and
Alright.
how we can
Alright.
support. And even though you're not physically there to
Yes.
actually give out your old clothes or your food or whatever, but you can make a donation online, you know,
Yeah.
and be able to support the people that are struggling through this time. So that has also been the good part
Yeah.
that has come out of this, I think, out of this
Yeah,
time. Yeah.
absolutely.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And I mean, obviously, we are seeing campaigns like Ilapen Boys
Yes,
Donate Bread.
Donate Bread.
It really just like took off because of the social media
Of course, yes,
platforms.
yeah,
and,
just
you know,
creating that visibility.
Yeah, yeah, and so many people have been helped through that program. So, Fisiwe, you actually touched on something that I just sort of like maybe just as a passing comment or you know to just focus on a bit. You're talking about this thing of how we are now consuming information. So when I have my phone and I'm going through Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, 1 minute I'm reading a sad story. The very next, you know, status, the very next slide is a happy story. The very next slide is impartial, and then I'm constantly in a short space of time going through this emotional roller coaster.
You are, yeah.
Like going through this emotional roller coaster. And one of the things that is becoming apparent now, part of the reason why we are so unstable is the fact that we are not allowing ourselves enough time to process emotions. You know
Yep.
what I mean? You're reading a sad story, it's hitting you, it's impacting you, you're taking it in, but you're not allowing yourself the process of
Yeah.
grieving if it's a sad story. You know what I mean? Because you're now on to the next story and it's a happy one and it's a different emotion and you're constantly going. So now when you have the time to yourself, by yourself, you're like this ball of emotions and you're just not allowing yourself time to actually process that, you know, I saw something, somebody got raped, somebody got mugged, somebody, and your human being side says you need to connect with that,
with
Of
those
course,
stories.
yeah.
with that story.
Especially because they're serious, right? And
Yeah.
you're absolutely right.
yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you can get so bombarded.
Yeah.
There's free online courses, so you're signing up for everything.
Yes,
connecting to
subscribing to
hashtags. If you're on
everything.
LinkedIn, subscribing to everything, and
Yeah.
then eventually it's like you're going crazy.
Exactly.
It's
Because
overwhelming,
there's
yeah.
so much coming at you. So
Yeah.
I think being really selective and choosy, you know, this is a time when we get to be really choosy
Yeah.
and unapologetically so, is you can't follow everybody and do everything.
No.
Yeah.
Be very selective, know what you want, and then choose according to that. Otherwise, we get overwhelmed. But you're absolutely right. And I think the fear is that when we're reading these stories of, you know, of rape, of gender-based violence, of things that are really important in our lives, we just swipe. Because either we don't want to deal with it, or we simply read the caption, make an opinion about it, and then move on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, we need to be able to really engage properly. And it's like what you said, Fisi, we need to challenge the assumption there.
Yeah.
Is the information accurate? Where is it
Yes.
coming from? Different perspectives on the matter, so that, and then decide what we want to do. But very often we're just on the back of our screens, just you know, sort of swiping, oh, I like this, I like that,
all the
like,
time.
share, tag, whatever it is. So it's to be, how can we be, you know, more responsible
Yeah.
in that space
Yeah.
and not, you know, just leave it open-ended and then get bombarded and, like you say, end up being depressed. So maybe limiting also the amount of time that we are on, you know, the Facebooks and all these social media kind of interactions, is important. Yeah,
It
and
is,
also
yeah.
checking in, having someone that you can have a conversation with. Hey, I saw this, and I really want to talk to it. And parents out there with your kids, it's so important to be able to understand and know what they're doing, because there is just so much out there.
So much.
And often what looks good can often be a trap, right?
It can be, yes, especially for kids. I think it's become very important because now there's increased screen time,
Yeah.
for parents to just take a more active role in terms of monitoring
Yeah.
and not exactly being in their business, but just being aware of what your children are consuming and just asking some of the questions around what they think, because it sort of then gives you an opportunity to educate them. So there's a whole lot of violence, front page news every time there's something that has happened, you know, you are able to then talk about the gender-based violence that's happening around and how, you know, they need to avoid being part of that, but how do they need to behave around other people? What if, you know, some of the people feel like it's justified? You are now able to sort of form the perception that your kids have around, even if Tamsanga offends me, I don't have a right to kill him, for example. So some of those things that you can share with your kids and educate, it will help you, and also just for the future, just making them better parents in the future as well. So, and just limiting, there's a whole lot of, I think, pressure to follow as many people on Twitter, for example. You need to be selective about who you're following. There are people that are always going to do things that are going to get you angry or upset. So why do you keep following people when you can block or mute or unfollow, or, you know, why do we put ourselves through that kind of stress? You know, the friends that are always sharing things that you don't necessarily agree with, and you try and educate them, and they're always just sharing things that are not, you know, beneficial to you. Just unfriend. There's really nothing wrong. It's for your mental wellness as well. So I think we need to be more discerning around the information that we take in, and also just be careful of the information that we take out. You know, as much as possible, try and share information that you've also checked, my goodness, on the WhatsApp groups. There's like a whole lot of wrong information going around. So with the COVID things, for example, before you start drinking bicarbonate of soda and vinegar and jik and all of that, you know, just think about where the source is for that information and be able to verify it before you kill yourself trying to, you know, before even COVID gets to you, because you're trying all these concoctions that people are talking about, or the stats, or how other people cannot be infected because blood of whatever. So you just need to, you know, be careful of what you take in and check it and educate the people that are around you. So if someone sends wrong information in a WhatsApp group, don't be like quick to delete it and then move on. Be able to say that is not true and correct that information. You're saving a whole lot of other people that are gullible that could have taken it on. So yeah, I guess that is also very important during this time. It's just information overload.
Very true.
Yep. FOMO will not kill you. But consuming the wrong information just might. Shelly, what's going on the pages?
Yes, thank you. So Pinks is putting up all your comments. Let's go to those comments for a moment here. So we've got Percy in Ndlangamandla who shares, digital and mobile platforms have been able to close the distance between families and also business with customers. Challenges be data protection and cybersecurity. And that's a very important one.
It is very much,
We maybe need to keep engaging with that on how we keep our interactions secure, because there are people that can hack. There's all sorts of things, you know. I'm sure
scams as well.
I'm sure you've
paying for things that are never going to get delivered.
Yes. You've won something, and please send $50
for postage
to retrieve your prize. Ladies and gents, if you've won something, it is free. Do not pay for it if you really did win. Okay.
And Shirley, maybe just to sort of just like to interject in there, if you going back to Mr. Ndlangamanda's comment, we do have an episode that speaks specifically to cybersecurity. So maybe if you like just scroll back on our page, you will come across an episode where we were speaking specifically around cybersecurity.
With Saeed, from Computronics, absolutely. Okay, we've got Paul Nkambule. Sharing idea with people is a sharing ideas with people is a valuable thing. Connect with people by empowering, counsel, and mentoring, or coaching them with love.
Yes.
This enhances building your relationships with people. Power of networking.
Yes.
Good one. If you do have anything nice to say, says Nkosi.
If you do not.
Tembe.
Yeah.
Yes. Nonsigelelo, sorry, Tembe. If you do have anything nice to say to someone, it's best you keep quiet.
I think she meant if you don't have anything nice
to say, best you keep quiet. Yeah. Okay. Accepting you at your highest value, the fact that you are a human being, nothing more. So that's around kindness and love, eh?
Yeah, that's
yep.
Mike. Zinzi has a question, and she says, do you think organizations locally have effectively jumped on to the digital tide during this time? For organizations that haven't, what would your advice be for effective communication in the digital age?
Okay, I think my take on this is that slowly businesses are moving into the online space. I think for the longest time, traditionally, we've believed in walking into people's businesses, having face-to-face interactions, real conversations. But unfortunately, times, even without COVID-19, were actually calling us to be more digital, just to give us more reach. I think that organizations are jumping on, but they're being also very, I think, pulling back in terms of they are not really sure how to navigate that space. My advice would be, if you're not anywhere online right now, we will forget about you. By the time we come out of this pandemic, we would have forgotten you exist. And there's a whole lot of other people that are active into that space. They are staying relevant. They remain top of mind for us. So it's better that you're on there. Obviously, you've got to think about what you want to do on there. So don't just be on for the sake of being on. However, be very deliberate about what you want to achieve. So tell people about your products and how they can make their lives better. So it's not just about physical products, but also services as well. So we've been talking about depression and the whole consumption of information. Is there online therapy that you can offer people? Cancel them online without them coming to you. That minimizes the risk, that also gives you access to more customers that would not necessarily have come to you before. Online churches now, we are getting the gospel any day of the week, watching those videos online because, that is where everything is now. So I feel like as a business, it's really, it works in your favor to go on there. People are always thinking, it's such a vile space. What if people then start complaining and bombarding me with threats and insults and all of that? But it's actually an opportunity for you to think about what aspects of your business are not going well and trying to work on those as improvements. Over time, people mature and they will eventually, understand that you're making an effort. At least you are also telling us what challenges you're experiencing so that we're able to understand why your network is not working well. And yes, I saw Meshach responding there.
Please put Meshach to another.
So we know why these challenges are going on and when it's going to get fixed, or it just helps you connect better with the people that you're dealing with. And it's not going to be perfect always, but I guess it's an opportunity for you to get closer and connect better with your customers. So for everyone that's got a business, this is the time to just go on there and engage. Yeah.
I love what you're saying on that. So very important. You might get left behind. So businesses who are not coming onto this digital space could potentially become irrelevant, right? So you want to stay relevant. You want to be able to continue reaching your partners and clients. But obviously, often what we want to know is how. How do we best do it? And I think that's maybe a space also we could possibly get into, is bring people into a space that can educate us, walk us through how best to set it up, what to look out for, just from a practical space, right? Obviously, yes, counseling online, very important. So if you're feeling any sort of way, you need support or help or just someone to speak to who's outside of your familiar space, I think that's a very good one to do. Obviously, here at the Pacific Institute, we provide online coaching. Okay, the space has opened up, so a lot of coaches are also going into the face-to-face space, but obviously respecting social distancing and all of that. But it's very important that we understand that this is a difficult time and we don't have all the answers and we may need support and help to do it. But jumping on the digital platforms is very, very important. Okay, the wave is coming whether you're prepared or not. So you've got to decide, am I going to be left behind or can I actually catch up? And probably moving faster now. Hey?
Yes.
The world is reopening up. So a very competitive space as well. Okay, so who do we have? Bridget, thanks for the shout out and encouragement courtesy. And now I'm chatting on YouTube. Yeah. See? She went from Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, I think. Hey? Twitter.
If you can't with them, join them.
There's no stopping Beebs right now.
no
Beebs is
stopping
on a roll.
Beebs.
So, Fisiwe, you touched on something when you're talking about companies sort of just like keeping their heads above water and remaining visible during this time. One of the ways that a number of companies or products and services are doing that is with social media influencers.
Yes.
You actually just touched on something about how the helper that's popping on TikTok right now.
Like, no. The Russell Hobbs iron, it doesn't really iron that well. You're just paying for the name. Otherwise, I want a Philips iron, boss.
Yeah. So now, as the company or as a product or service provider, how do you sort of just like sift through the clutter? Because now we are seeing a random person from the street who was a nobody the day before and has 100,000 followers on Instagram or TikTok the very next day. As a product or service provider, how do you sort of like sift through the clutter? Because now, if you're associating your brand or product with a person, there's obviously a number of things you have to take into consideration there. You don't just say, they've got 1 million followers here.
Let me go.
I'm running with them. So what is it that organizations or companies, products and services need to be looking out for when they're associating their brands and services with an influencer?
I think the main thing is just around deciding first what you want to achieve.
Right.
So if you want to, for example, create more visibility for your product or service, you do want someone that's got a lot of followers. However, you also need to still keep it relatable. So if I want, to advertise my gym, maybe you with your guns.
Hey, I'll let your boy.
Would be relevant.
Would
be relevant. But someone that looks like they would not
They've never done a push-up in their life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Probably, then it does sound fake. You want to keep it as authentic as possible. So you do want to try and get someone that can connect with that brand, that sort of makes people believe they can also do it. You know, they can see the product in the person. But also there's, I believe, personal brands that have got too many commercial brands also linked to them. That's when the clutter problem comes in. So you suddenly, advertising a bank, but you're also promoting washing powder, but you're also promoting appliances. And there's now a lot of things that people are consuming from that same person. And Eswatini, being a small market, is not necessarily a bad thing. So you've got a few of those people, but there are the people that have not really moved into that space that you could potentially grow into that space. So I think opening up the industry, if I may call it, so that there's a whole lot of other new faces that people can see when it comes to products and services, I think that's a good idea. And just someone that truly believes in your brand. I think it always, when people read on social media, they can always sense, over time in terms of how much I believe, this coffee is nice. But if I'm a tea person and I'm drinking coffee, it's going to sound scripted, and over time people will be like, not really. So you do want to sort of also just deal with that as well and make sure that you support them fully. If there's anything, new information that's coming out with your brand, with your product, be sure to also keep them looped in. So even if they don't work for you, there will be people asking them about it because they believe they are part of that brand. So for them to now say, I'm not really sure, it actually works against you because you had an opportunity to also share that information with whoever that they're interacting with. So I believe that that sort of makes it very important for brands that are out there.
I like that. Authenticity.
Yep. See the brand in the person.
Speaks to credibility. No, absolutely. And I think, that word authenticity keeps coming up more and more and more in different circles. So that's an important value. And also just being identified, like values, similar values.
Yes, of course,
Authenticity, and also what you said before, we see around feedback. So feedback is a very tricky one because we often don't want to hear the negative stuff.
Yes.
As long as you keep saying, you're doing well, guys, keep going, we're happy to go down that route. And then suddenly when someone comes up to say, actually, maybe you could do this better, change this, and then we kind of get a little bit, our backs up. But our ability to really accept the negative feedback is what gives us growth, is what gives us acceleration, is what makes us better. So we need to start building a lot of strength internally, personally.
Yep.
Someone who's quite sensitive in that space, or as organizations, invite the feedback. Have space where we're actually saying, guys, we want to hear from you. Telling us we're doing well is not going to help us. We need to know what perhaps we're missing, where can we improve, and be able to sort of accept the feedback and use it constructively. Is it serving me? Is it going to get us to where we want to go? So I love that. And maybe to all of us who are consumers also, you know, I always say, we all have a PhD in complaining. Right? Am I right? We all know exactly why things are not
Yep.
working. But to be able to get to the next level and push perhaps a something to repair or an opportunity to solve or a solution, that's where it becomes tricky.
Yes.
So trolls are those who just go, oh, it's ugly, oh, it's not working, oh, it's bad. But we want to challenge people to say, okay, so you've noticed something's wrong. What would you do in that place? What could you propose, recommend, think of as a solution? And I think that helps everybody. That's what we call constructive feedback.
Absolutely.
So being able to invite feedback, want it because we know that that's what's going to allow us to course correct, get to the next level, grow, shift in whatever we're doing.
Yeah.
But also, to provide solutions while we're saying, it's not nice. Okay. Thank you. Now what?
Now
Where to
what?
from now?
Yeah.
Okay. So we've got some people who are joining us in the room. Thank you.
Yes.
If you are on Facebook and experiencing trouble, please jump onto YouTube. It seems it is better. I would like to, Pinks, after this, if you wouldn't mind putting Mishak onto his comments. But anyway, we've got Kim and Janine from Malkerns. Thank you for joining. Zinke Manzini, Marisa Izumwini. Hello, Marisa. Sanele Mbabane Zine from Johannesburg. Skumbuzo Nonsigelelo, we saw your comment as well. Paul and Vusi in Johannesburg. Thanks for coming into the room. Yeah,
Thank
keep
you.
sharing, share. Okay, we need to keep sharing. So thanks for joining us. Yeah.
Absolutely. So also, Shelley, just to piggyback on what you were talking about earlier, that of feedback. I think it's so much easier to receive negative feedback if, when I do good, you also let me know.
I think so.
Nice point.
Most of the time, people are just
That's a
all
good
about attack.
Yes.
But when I do good and PCOS just shoots me a WhatsApp and says, well done, it's so much easier for me to accept when she says,
Yes.
look, you are out of line here.
That's
because
very
then
true.
I know
Have my
her
interests.
interests are holistic.
Yeah.
Of course, yeah.
It's not just about the attack only.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
I think also just in terms of the tone of the feedback is very important. So as consumers, we also need to be aware in terms of how we give feedback. So I can't just go there and start swearing and then I'm telling you that I'm giving you feedback. It's got to be, like Shelley said, there's got to be an alternative. So how do you think things could actually go better? But this is also how you honestly feel about the product or service. And I think to the service providers out there as well, just staying quiet when people are trying to engage with you is not the way to go. So you'd rather just not be in the digital space than be there
and
as
then
a
just be quiet,
notice board. And then
That's very important.
and just the one point around, you know, now you're talking about online shopping. To
Yes.
say the people that are actually selling, like the small businesses, people that are running businesses from home, that are not necessarily big, you know, brick and mortar sort of retailers.
Yes.
There's an opportunity now. We are all local. We are not really going to the malls and SA and shopping and whatever, to just create visibility for the products that they have, that they're making. So if there are any nice clothes, nice art, nice decor items, you know, that you can sell online, it's really good to just have those pages in the digital space and create visibility for other locals to also support you and have a way of them being able to pay online and for you to deliver to them without necessarily them coming to where you are.
Right.
So there's an opportunity for how we can change our small businesses and, you know, still work during this time because of the online business.
I love that. Pick up points. Yeah, sharing resources. I think that's great. So Clinton Lowe is sharing. So great initiative, Team TPIS. Thank you, Clinton. So important to highlight the importance of digital awareness and how this can help businesses survive and overcome challenges. To reach out to targeted consumers where the world has evolved at a pace never seen before is an opportunity that will allow for so much creativity. All business, whether retail, financial, personal development, etc., will need to give adequate attention to harnessing the power of social media. Yeah,
Well
it's really
said,
true,
well
eh?
said,
It's exactly what we were talking about. So, moving on, Zinhle, the whole world is talking branding, and in our country, that more big corporates. How do we build brands as individuals that can put food on our tables and provide opportunities? Okay, nice question. So how do we build brands and have to build brands as individuals to put food on our tables and provide opportunities?
I believe that there's actually already something happening within that space. I think, we're sitting next to one of the big personal brands in Eswatini. But I think you've also got to think about the unique element that you offer to businesses.
Yes.
Exactly.
So I think there's a whole lot of duplication. I see someone starting a business, I also want to move into that space. I see someone selling a particular service, I also want to move into that space. But as individuals, we do have our unique sort of characteristic or element that we bring to the table.
Yeah.
It's very important to go to brands and be willing to sell them that. So convince them, and it takes a lot of work because it's not really something that we've been doing for a long time. So we're not like the developed countries. However, if I knock on the door 4, 5, the 6th time, they're going to say, okay, just show us what you've got.
Sure.
And it's a good place to start. But it's just basically creating that unique niche for yourself and making sure that that's where you're pushing it. Because trying to be like everyone else is unfortunately going to get you lost. And there's obviously other people that are doing it better already. So, what's the point? I think for me, there is an opportunity for people to come up with unique things. And I think during lockdown, I've actually seen a couple of people that, we're talking now about the Vakasha Eswatini page, for example. It's just grown out there because there was really nothing that was there in terms of combining all the elements and making it I would say, user-created content. Because there were pages that were sharing travel and tourism stuff within Eswatini, but not necessarily encouraging that kind of use. So if I see myself as part of that content, I'm definitely supporting it. So it's a unique, space that no one was playing in. So it's just for everyone to just think about what makes them unique, what they can offer that would be interesting in this market, and we go. So
Love that.
So look, when you're talking about that, obviously we'll have to go back to what you spoke about earlier on, which is that authentic connection with the brand.
Yes.
Can I see myself in the brand? Like it makes so much sense when I go and knock on the door of Coca-Cola versus when I go and try and get a partnership
whiskey
with
brand.
a whiskey brand. You know what I mean? So so that's one of the
Well,
biggest.
specifically for you, and maybe just explain
Yes.
to the followers why that would not be really a very
because I don't
authentic
drink.
link.
Because I don't drink
Thank
alcohol.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like most of the time, people will want to approach the brand with money versus the brand with the connection. And that's where the problem starts. And then also there's the issue of being interested in order to be interesting. When I go to Fisiwe and I say to Fisiwe, as your organization, what are you guys doing this year? And then she outlines what the plan, what the vision for the year. And then I go back home and I sort of like tailor make an artistic execution or proposition to what they're already doing. It's so much easier because Fisiwe already has the budget for that. Most of the time what people do is they go there and say, hi, I'm Tamsang Nosbanze. I've got 100,000 followers on Instagram. This is what I want to do. Give me money. They say, good for you on your 100,000 followers. All the best.
We don't have the money.
And we don't have the money for what you want to do. But they have money for what they want to do.
Of course, I think it's also very important to, there's a whole lot of hard work. I think we always look at the influencer lifestyle and we think it's just easy. You just, take photos and make content and blah, blah, blah. But most of the time, there's also a whole lot of back-end hard work that needs to happen around understanding the brand much better than everyone else and making sure that you tailor-make something that's going to add value to what they're trying to do. So yes, it's very important that you get what the key priorities are and how you can make those key priorities delivered, but in a more interesting way.
Absolutely. Oh man, I told you when we started, we're in the room with an expert. She's just been dropping nuggets of gold and some bars and some jewels up in here. We've got hashtags for days. Linda, I know she's just like been going off on that. So, Fisiwe, as we're wrapping up today's chat with you, can you just, we like to give the guests an opportunity to just speak what's in your head, what's in your heart, what's in your hands, what is it that you just like to speak freely, especially around the space of digital communication right now in the space of COVID-19 and going forward?
I wasn't ready for that.
Deep
But
end.
I think, hey, it's if you're not online, you don't exist.
Okay.
For me, that's
Okay.
what it is. But
Okay.
obviously, we've still got to stay safe, even
Sure.
on there. So make sure that we're careful about, the spaces that we get ourselves into. And learn every day. There's always something new, so make sure that you're learning and developing yourself. And also just being true to yourself, I think. There's a whole lot of things that put us under pressure. There's people that you follow and they're always driving nice cars, going to all these exotic locations and carrying all these nice bags, and you feel under pressure to sort of live up to, but it's their journey, so just accept that your journey is different and make sure that you make good of whatever that you've got. So I think for me, it's just about, yes, keeping safe as we are in that space, but also staying relevant. I think I would like to get more of, Eswatini creatives doing more in that space, but also just Eswatini normal individuals as well. We need new faces that are going to grace our billboards, that are going to have podcasts and blog posts and all, because everyone has got their area of interest. So let's not always be learning about music or about, there's poetry, there's painting, there's all those things. So let's get to experience more of our Eswatini talent and experience.
Love that.
Man, that's so beautifully said, Fisiwe. And in that space of learning, just to sort of just like cap that, there's something that I'm noticing. You're talking about new faces in billboards or in radio and on TV. One of the biggest mistakes that up and coming creatives usually say is, why is it him always? Why is it her always? And I say you will get more value when you ask her how.
Yep.
Instead of asking why her, ask her how.
We always think that if I go to Shirley every time and I ask her how, I can get better at public speaking, for example, then her head is going to swell, which is not always the correct way of going about things, because there's always something to learn from other people. And there are people that are better than you at something. You can't always be. So I think that element of humility for me becomes very important, of being able to say there's something for me to learn from this person so that I can improve, my own tact or my own skill at something. So let's not be scared of approaching people, obviously approaching them with the right intentions and basically just, benefiting us in the long term. Most of the time people won't refuse to actually share their information freely.
Absolutely.
Oh,
love that.
if you find somebody who is doing today what you want to do tomorrow, and then ask them how. Whether online or by picking up their book or watching their podcast or their YouTube channel. But find somebody who's doing today what you want to do tomorrow. Thank you, Nomalungelo Dada. She's saying thank you so much, Sis Fisiwe. Shout out to the insightful content. Thank you.
She makes me feel old, guys.
Nomalungelo, stop it.
At least she didn't say auntie.
Yeah, she said Sis Fisiwe, Shirley?
Lovely. Yeah, and Philippa Thorne showing, listening here with my son, next generation. We need their help in this fast-changing space.
Oh,
absolutely.
Yes.
And we need to hear their voice more, to see what the future's looking like, what they can see. But thank you very much. Fire, sister. There you go. Now you're a sister. Sister, okay. No, it's been a great conversation. And just to add on there, obviously what's happened is now that because we are typing full words, there's language. We need to remember spelling. And a little bit of grammar, like we said, now you're sending emails where before you might have, had a conversation or whatever, you've got to present things, LOL on an email to, a CEO trying to put in your proposal.
Very well,
So we're almost relearning our language, how to spell again,
Yes,
which is an interesting one. But yeah, how language is evolving, I think, is also going to influence, the dictionary. They say words get into the dictionary very, very often.
Actually, there's now an urban dictionary.
There
Some
you
of
go.
the words that we were not traditionally using have now become everyday language.
Everyday language.
You've got to jump onto that and be trendy, and otherwise people are going to be talking about things and you're thinking,
What?
Yeah.
Irregardless is now a word in the dictionary.
Yeah. No, that her expression I have at home when the kids are talking. I'm like, are we speaking English here? Yeah. Anyway, it goes to show that we've got to really keep up with it, but be sure to know what it is that you want, what are your values and what you're looking for, and then choose according to that. We can't be everything to everyone, and we can't consume everything. Yeah. But there's definitely a lot out there. So it's just knowing yourself again, and then being okay to be choosy. I think we get to be choosy and unapologetically so, and it's okay.
Absolutely.
Okay, lovely. So you're going to stay with us, Fisiwe. We're not over. We obviously have some more stories to tell. And what we always love to do, and this is kind of that unique value proposition that you were talking about. So know what you're good at and leverage that and amplify that into the world. So what we really chose with the Connect is being able to showcase what is happening in our local context, but also on the continent, because there's so much great stuff that comes out of Africa, out of Eswatini, that we often don't hear about, right? And we want to amplify that. And obviously, there's a lot going on the ground in different places with different faces. And so we want to always have a feature, bringing you a story from what's happening in our local community to try. And what I love what you're saying is, as a consumer, Fisiwe, I think I want to be also more diligent and intentional about following local, you know, whether it's artists, people on social media. Like, I think that's a way to help amplify people who are starting businesses, who have talents to share, who have knowledge to share.
Yes.
Is also to choose within our local space, like your own network. Start there. They say charity starts at home, but what we're saying is also, connect with people who are doing great stuff within your own community. I think is so important, right? We want artists to do better. Are we consuming what they have to sell and share?
Of course,
so that's where it starts. So, and there's many people. You know, we've got DT, but there's also other artists out there that are doing great stuff. Are we spreading the love? You know, and I think that's a way where we help each other and really, you know, boost our own communities, societies, etc., etc.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
So, talking to our feature, we are now ready for our Zoom. I think we are. Are we on?
Yeah, we're ready.
Yeah, good.
Ready to Zoom.
Yeah, so today we're speaking to Isilda da Costa. Many of us know her as Izzy. Okay,
Izzy.
And Izzy is the founding manager of the Health Shop. So if you have been to, if you're in the Izawini space, it's the lovely Health Shop. She's also a fitness instructor and personal trainer at the Wellness Revolution, an online holistic health coach specializing in autoimmune disease, and more recently, brand ambassador for youthful living. So yeah, many of you have seen Izzy in her space, but there's a lot that goes on behind, the person. So Izzy has worked with Australian fitness apps and developing diet plans, stretch coaching with Sihlangu soccer team. She's led fitness event classes and demonstrations in SA, in our neighboring country. Recently took on the challenge of standing on stage as a fitness bikini athlete. Okay, I want to be doing that when I grow up. And also qualified for the African Arnold Sports Show. So Izzy's story is also from a very personal space, unique value proposition. So Izzy had some personal experience that led her then to creating a space where people can come and find health products for people who have allergies and who are intolerant to certain things. Now we have a space where we can source products. And I love that it was a personal story. So Izzy, hello and welcome to the Connect. There's no sound. Have we got sound?
No, there's a delay. She hasn't heard you yet.
Izzy, can you hear? No, it seems like we've got a little bit of a sound issue. Or we can't hear Izzy. Okay, sorry, we're just working on on volume so that we can hear you and you can hear us. So just give us a bit of time. DT is doing his magic. We're finding out what needs to happen.
Yeah, technical things will always be technical.
Yeah.
So yeah, and actually that's a part of the being in this time and space.
You know you've got to make things work.
Yeah,
and
make things work.
And see how we can make them work if they don't.
Absolutely,
if they don't.
absolutely. I mean, even just from a company and organization space, allowing people the room to try and fail, because I think that's one of the biggest fears for people, that what if this doesn't work? But we are in a time and space right now where you have to have that freedom or that room to try and fail, because if you don't, then it means you're not growing.
You're not improving.
You're not improving. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah? Shall we?
Cool,
You can
yeah.
do that if you'd like to. So
Okay.
while we're waiting for Izzy to come on, we also just wanted to share. We are often spoiled in this space.
Totally. You know, because the Connect is still part of the Pacific Institute breakfast meeting sort of like show. We just took it online, and what we do have is partners that come in and give us breakfast. Today, we have been graced by Laxi Garden, which is situated in the heart of Zuluini and easily accessible. It's on the upper deck at the Corner Plaza Mall with a unique Asian blend of elements and comfortable modern flair. It's an authentic Chinese cuisine prepared by using the freshest ingredients at the hands of Mr. Wang, resident chef with over 28 years experience. So if you're in the Zuluini area, you can check them out. They're upper deck at the Corner Plaza Mall. During COVID-19 lockdown times, they're still operating from 12 until 8:30 p.m. at night, and they do takeaways, deliveries to certain areas, and they can seat up to 20 people inside the restaurant, of course, following the COVID-19 protocols. And they've made special set menus and have tried to make food more value for money during these times. So they will be constantly updating their menu. And today, that's who's going to be providing.
To eat, we've really been trying out a whole lot of different
You can also say things you don't want to say.
Yes.
Hey.
So you've got to know what you want to say, because predictive test is going to edit that out, and then it can be quite embarrassing at times.
So, I mean, it's not a personal situation. It's not a personal story. But a friend of mine was saying, you know, he was trying to be nice and fresh with the lady, you know, on WhatsApp. And he was trying to text, "Who's your daddy?" And he ended up texting, "How's your daddy?" And that conversation went left immediately. Because now she was like on some, yeah, no, he's doing all right, you know, just his arthritis.
Not the response that he was
Not the response that he was hoping for, but
And that's still mild, eh?
that's very mild.
Sometimes the words that
Yeah.
pop up in your sentence, and then you like delete. No, actually, oh no. So if you're still with us, yes, we were trying to connect with Izzy. So Isilda da Costa, she is owner and manager of the health shop in the beautiful valley, Heavenly Valley, Ezulwini, the Valley of Heaven, as we say here in Eswatini, Ezulwini, which was established in 2014. And she's also a health coach, personal trainer. So if you're also liking MetaFit, I met Izzy through joining MetaFit, which is this fantastic 20-minute high-intensity workout that gives you the same value as sort of spending hours and hours in the gym.
Wow.
And for me, that's just perfect, you know. A quick 20-minute and you're good to go. So unfortunately, it looks like we've had a little bit of technical problems today, and we do ask you for lots of grace and forgiveness. It seems we weren't able to connect successfully with Izzy. We needed to hear her, because with our feature, we give an opportunity for someone coming on to then tell their story, really, and you hear it from the horse's mouth, as they say, from the people who are really on the ground and doing it. We haven't been able to connect with her today. We hope to do so at our next Connect. So thank you, Izzy, for your patience, and really we do apologize that you weren't able to join us. We were so excited to hear what you're doing and also just share the story with all our followers and viewers. So it looks like what we're going to do is play a food video from Laxi. Is that going to take us to the end of our show?
Stuff to eat. We've really been trying out a whole lot of different cuisine lines from different people that we didn't even know about before the lockdown. That's great.
And Kosi finally went online.
Oh, yeah! Anyone doing online fitness?
Yes. Has the video played? It's played. Yeah. Okay, sorry, Fisi, were you asking about online
No,
fitness?
yes, just people getting fit online now
Yes.
that and gyms
Yep.
are closed.
Hey.
And
So so Izzy's doing a lot online. A lot of people
That's
doing
great,
sort of 12-week
yeah.
programs with support on diet and all that sort of thing. So it's really great. There's a lot going on even locally,
that's great.
which
yeah.
is nice. So a lot of
Yeah,
networking.
yeah.
Let us know if you'd like to connect with Izzy and others who are doing online workouts, different times of the day, whether it suits you in the early morning,
Convenience.
after work, in the evenings when you get home as a way to de-stress. Depending on what you prefer, let us know and we can connect you to what's happening in our local community and context around that space.
And I think also, Fisi, where you spoke about off air, you spoke about the gaming culture, where obviously now people can't come together and play PlayStation or whatever, but now people are taking that to the digital platform.
Of course,
Where I
and
can
now
play with
getting
you,
to-
you're at your home and I'm at my home, and we're
And just getting to be able to actually compete with people that are even outside
Yes,
the country.
yes, yes.
It's actually very interesting. It's a new way of making friends now.
Yeah.
You know, you've
Yeah.
got a new top score to beat. So it's not your usual one amongst your circle of friends. I think
Yeah.
that's really the way that going forward, we are probably going to retain some
Yeah.
of these behaviors even
Yeah.
beyond,
Yeah.
the lockdown. So that's also the
Absolutely.
interesting part that's come out of it.
Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, I think Izzy, thank you very much. She says, sorry, lovies, next week then, because of sound issues, will still want to connect with her and just
Yes.
hear about her story, her journey, and find out what kind of impact is she having in her area and space of influence.
So Kitsiwe Gudene is saying, I love the books on the table. You know, it's true, we often don't refer to books. So I think we just throw everybody in the deep end. What are you reading? What can you recommend as interesting
Yes,
books?
yes, yes.
So yeah, we have a lot of books here. Some of them we have read. Some of them we are going to read. So I know, habits of highly successful people. A lot of people are eating up one book a week, or 2 books in a month, like really being intentional about it, getting some good books. And before you turn on the TV or know what people are doing on their status, is actually just to pick up a book, think about what
Physical
you're
book
doing.
and read it.
Yeah, read, fill your mind with things that are going to, sort of help you, propel you in that day,
Improve you,
and then
yeah.
move forward. So any shares, any recommendations on any books you've read that have really touched you, that are really very powerful, that we can share with our listeners and followers?
It's mainly been work stuff that I've been reading,
yes.
so I've sort
that's
of
good.
fallen off the wagon. Because
Yeah.
I'm actually a bookworm
Yeah.
under normal
Yeah.
circumstances, but I think
Yeah.
of late I actually haven't really
Okay.
gotten my hands on like
Okay.
a proper hardcover.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a whole lot of I think literature out there that people can actually read, and I just before the lockdown I was actually now finishing Michelle Obama's book as well. Happy Ho.
yes.
So I think it's been interesting just reading about her story
Yeah.
and how they met and the
Yeah.
whole dynamics, and also how she's a force on her own.
Yeah.
I think most of the time we sort of refer to her
As the first lady.
former first
Yeah.
lady.
Yeah.
Yes, but she's
Mrs.
also really
Yes.
she's also really gotten a lot of her own strength, in terms of her character as a standalone, which I think is great, and just being deliberate about the type of person that you want to be with and following through. I think most of the time we then end up settling or accepting because we believe we're asking for too much. But actually, when you're upfront about what you expect the other person to be, it's either, the person fits into that or falls off. So it was interesting just reading about all of that as well. She is a force. Yeah.
I love that book. I love that book.
Yeah. No, and well, I mean, obviously, I posted a picture yesterday where I revisited a book that I hadn't read in a couple of weeks,
Oh,
and as fate would have it, I had bookmarked with 100 rand
I
notes.
saw that.
And so as I'm flipping through, I'm like,
Can
oh
I lend
snap!
that book? I'll take 5. I'll take 5 from you.
But yeah, just in terms of like the reading habits or reading patterns, what I do, and I borrowed this from Eric Thomas, is read a page or a paragraph or even a sentence, and if it speaks to you directly for that moment in time, just take that and then go apply it. Because most of the time what people then just get locked into is finishing the book. So now you're just like taking the stuff in. But he says, as soon as you come across the sentence, the paragraph, or the page that speaks to your specific situation,
I love it. Yeah.
put the book away and then just go and
Focus
apply
on that. Yeah.
Apply, research, expand, write. You know what I mean? Like then so you sort of just like immerse yourself into that idea or that thought pattern, so that that's how you actually internalize and grow in that
And it's a call to action, right? So too often we
It
have
is.
a lot of things, we dream, we think, but we don't take that and actually do something. So I like that. It's always a call to action. Can you turn what you're reading into practical, applicable things?
I think
so-
I've actually been applying. During my commute to and from work, normally I'm listening to like podcasts.
Oh, yes.
And you've got, your Oprah Sunday Soul Conversations, for example, where she speaks to like different people. Most of the time there's a whole lot of nuggets that they share.
Yes.
I get to like just record that on my phone so that
Lovely.
I'm able to then, I think every morning I try as much as possible on my Twitter to just share a motivational quote just to start off the day.
Yeah.
Then I can then do the rest of everything. But just that one sentence from someone gets to change you for the rest of the day in terms of getting fired up, getting empowered, and believing you can, do whatever that you set out to achieve. So, I think there's a lot that we can learn from other people as well.
I love that. Choices, choices, choices.
Absolutely. And I
What
think-
are you choosing?
Yeah, as somebody who does follow Physio on Twitter, I appreciate that very much. Bumping into a key or, like a piece of information that you can actually use and apply, especially when you have to go through the clutter of memes and jokes and all of these other things that are going on. It's so nice to come across something that will just sort of like
Uplifting.
uplift you
Yeah,
and
calling you
spark
up.
that fire. Yeah.
Yeah, love it, love it, love it. So a very practical book is How to Build Your Business in 90 Minutes a Day, which is just an hour and a half focusing. Very often we're in the business, but we don't focus on the business or on something that we're thinking of doing. It remains a dream, it remains like a sketch in a book, and we never actually turn it into something practical. So that's a very practical book. I don't have the authors with me, but just check it out. How to Build Your Business in 90 Minutes a Day. An hour and a half, that's all it takes every day. Discipline to think about what you're thinking about.
Yeah. What's
Okay.
Kim saying, Shelley?
So Kim's saying, read, filling your subconscious mind with great material to use when you pose your problem to solve and wait for your creative genius to present you with the solution. Lovely. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So again, we want to just say sorry that we couldn't get Izzy on the call. So Isilda will be joining us next week. Sorry, we did have sound issues, and that's some of the chances, or should I say the risks of being live. It did work yesterday, but today for some reason we have had a challenge. But thank you for your patience. Most importantly, thank you for joining us today. We hope that you managed to reconnect if you were disconnected. We're going to speak to our service providers and make sure that they are along for the ride. Thank you very much to Fisiwe. Thank you, Fisiwe, for being with us, taking your morning out to spend this time. Thank you so much.
The networking breakfast sometimes are so tricky to attend
Sure,
when you're
sure,
in the office
sure.
and you've got work to do, but this has really been,
Yeah.
I think it has really kept us going.
Thank
so this
you.
is digital communication at work, like
Yeah.
practically.
No,
Thank you
Fisiwe,
so much.
Thank you so very much for taking the time out to be with us and for sharing your wisdom, because that's what it is. It's one thing when it's just knowledge, but when it's applied, then it becomes wisdom. So
Yeah.
thank you very much for sharing with us, and we wish you nothing but the best for the rest of the week. For the rest of the year, while we're still figuring out what this year is.
It's not wasted. I'm
It's not
ready to
wasted.
get to it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Love that. Don't waste it.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's time to sign off with all of you. Thank you very much, Raquel dos Santos. Amazing. Thank you very much for that. Thank you for joining us today. As you know, Tuesdays, this is where we're at, all dressed up with somewhere to go. And it's to connect with you, talking about different things. Let us know what you want to hear about. We love to